27.28.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We'll reconvene the meeting. We've got a wee bit of a gear change to do before we start. So can everyone please turn to page 149? Yeah, and before I do that, Julie's just reminded me I've got to do apologies. So I have apologies from Councillor Finch and Phelps. I'll move. Is there a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor McCusty. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you. So, yeah, if we could please go to page 149 and Steve will explain why.
So this was just as a consequence of work that finance have been doing with the decisions and where we've been going, keeping track of what we've been up to, because we've asked them to, this morning, pull together where we are with the rates and rating examples, and also the position of debt. And this arises from where debt sits. And one of the problems that's been identified as they're running through the numbers is that the starting position for debt is not quite the same as what we originally were looking at. We've been drawing down more, so we're sitting at about 117 mil now, is it, Sharon?
Yes.
And when they run through the figures with the decisions, even though we've actually reduced debt with some of the decisions, by the time we get to year 10, it's going to breach the 280%. So the easiest solution is just going back to the resolution that we did around the 15% of the capital program for the first 3 years, and just simply say it doesn't change that resolution. It just simply is suggesting that we need to just apply that across the 10 years of the program, and that will address the immediate issue around the 280%. And at the end of the day, that it's not unwarranted, but short of re-looking at all those big capital projects that we said we know they're only estimates, but then on what basis do we change? This still addresses that issue anyway. So that's the point. There's a resolution that we would be proposing, but again, at the end of the day, council, it's your decision.
Councillor Wheeler.
When we did discuss that item, I was considering having those disposal to land surge upgrades actually taken out. And they were, I think, as I recall, got this figure somewhere, they were $144 million of it. And I thought, given that letter from Minister Brown, I think it was, that we saw sent to us last week there about reviewing regulations, conditions and standards and such things, that they could be taken out in the meantime. But it's just as easy to go with the museum.
Well, I think the staff view, through your worship, was that the minister's letter means nothing from a statutory perspective, and certainly from an audit perspective at this point, because as we've said before, and we've experienced before, haven't we? The ministers give directions around where the direction of travel is, and the new government's using that to influence things, but the law still says there are certain requirements. And I can guarantee you that the regulating agencies are watching even this council as we are making decisions and making sure that we are meeting our legal obligations, including, as an example, consent condition legal obligations that says, for at least three existing consents we have, thou shalt consider and provide for land-based disposal options, and so they need to be calculated. And the law doesn't, like the bill that's before Parliament is to remove Te Mano Te from the hierarchy for wastewater, but it's a bill, it's not through yet. And our plan has been approved by audit in terms of our consultation, which includes, the infrastructure strategy, all requiring and showing those things. So whilst I agree with the sentiment around where things might be heading, and we've discussed that before, the argument we had raised, which we've applied, was these things will be resolved over the next number of years. At the moment, we don't feel we have an option other than to include those programs. We do agree that there's a whole lot of uncertainty around the quantum of it, but the ability to remove, we've discussed it ourselves, and we don't think we can actually, we should be shifting wastewater upgrade programs out of the plan. And then, this solution is just simply just dealing with the 280% issue, and still recognising we need certainty as we get into those replacements. I would certainly agree that we shouldn't be committing contracts and anything like that associated with upgrades without, going through that type of process. But in terms of budget within the 10-year program, we don't feel we have an option but to keep those programs in the 10-year plan.
Councillor McTamaney.
The other thing to consider too, is that even if those laws were to change, those consents are due for renewal, and those plants may not meet requirements for discharge to water. So that even if they are discharged to water in the future, there's still going to be a substantial cost on upgrades that we're not sure about either. So we will be paying a lot of money one way or the other.
Councillor Wheeler.
So this is a question then. So 15% reduction, does that apply from years 3 onwards? Just a blanket 15% reduction in all the... Sorry, I understood that correctly. That's going to be applied.
To exactly the same way we applied the first 3 years to 3 waters urban programs, years 4 to 10.
Just the urban drinking water.
No, 3 waters, urban 3 waters programs.
Yeah.
Councillor Mackie.
Through the chair, does Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington, and say Queenstown have an order on them to discharge onto land?
Through you, Your Worship, no one has an order.
No, but did they have to put that into their budgeting to be discharging onto land?
It would depend on the rules in their area. We've currently got a plan change in Otago that's looking at that as a requirement for us. So, and as we've said, we need to do work in the next few years to look at treating to continue to discharge to water. But that may be more expensive than treating to discharge to land. So the advice we've had is the treatment we're doing now is sufficient for a discharge to land treatment process, and we've just got to do the actual discharge process. So it's different in every situation. It depends on the receiving environment and those sorts of things.
Because the discharge to land is working very well in Te Anau, because I was talking to a guy who's running it up there, and they're cutting grass off it, and you can just about see the grass growing, but they got shingle. But we're a different kettle of fish in South Otago with their porosity and the ability of the water to absorb water and get rid of it,
Absolutely, and that's part of the work we've already identified we need to do, and the report that we've already distributed shows different types of land. You need different areas for land treatment. So that's part of that detailed process we need to work through.
Jules, would our 2 guiding principles as such be that it's Ngāi Tahu's preferred option, so therefore any council on the Ngāi Tahu Takiwā would be obliged to do that, and also the Otago Regional Council's land and water is at the moment insisting on it. They'll be the 2 guiding ones for us to discharge them.
I think yes, and absolutely under the RMA you have to look at all the options, and we may find that it's actually cheaper to move to land treatment than to treat the water, the effluent, to a really high standard to continue to discharge to water. So we're not ruling that in and out. We're saying we need to do that work to look at those options as we come up to that consent renewal.
Okay, so let's be quite clear what we're doing here. We day before yesterday, we did 3 years. So that recommendation still stands. We are now doing an additional recommendation along the same lines, but from the year 2027-28 to the 34-35, but the other 7 years in our 10-year plan. Questions? Any further questions before we go to discussion? Discussion team. I will say that.
Sorry,
Yep.
just a question, how much does that sort of take us under the at the end of the
Sharon,
long-term plan?
how much does that put us under the bar?
We haven't quite worked that out just yet. We're working on it now.
But it's big enough
Thank
to
you.
put us under the bar.
There's some, through you, Your Worship, there's some very big wastewater upgrades.
Yep.
Towards the end of this. 50 million for Balclutha.
So for me, like it's an aspirational thing. We're saying let's do 100%, but we'll only do 85. And I thought, well, for 3 years, we've got our arm up our back. This is the situation we're in. To now go sort of non-aspirational for 10 years, it's getting out there. And I will say, because there were some years where the 4% rate cap happened naturally, this was a far greater manipulation than the 4% rate cap ever was, but it's forced on us. So the new councillors have now got to see the reality that we face when you're given options choice in a lot of ways. I don't like it, but if we say no, we breach and we come back. So
The saving grace, your worship, is that you always review it every 3 years anyway.
Yep.
So you always have that ability, which you would have done at the end of 3 years, to bring it back in or not. You can take it out or not. So it still really hasn't changed your 3-year focus.
it just worries me that non-aspirational, but also, and I'm not saying it would happen, but it's easily manipulated. Just put in a high budget and then go back to 85. It's not the be all and end all for stopping it. So it's a mechanism that's going to suit our purposes today. Anything else before we put to the vote? I'll move that we, hold on, I'll ask Julie and then I'll move. Did you actually get the wording for it, Julie?
Yep. That council confirms an overall funding reduction of 15% for the Urban Three Waters Capital Program for 7 years from 2027-28 to 2034-35.
I move. Can someone second, please? Councillor Barron. Any further discussion? Put to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Thank you. So we go back to page 392 and I'll just go through where I am going because I'm doing a few gear changes. Yesterday I was finding it hard to read when we were going to a close vote or not. And we would talk for half an hour and everyone would have a go and then we vote unanimously. And I sit there and think, well, we could have probably, as a chair, done that better. So I will pull it today because this is the third day and we've got to be a wee bit more expedient. Back to the standing orders of one go at questions. You can ask as many questions as you want, but you get one go at it, not a 2 or a 3 or a 4. One go at discussion, and then we're into it. And also, if 3 have spoken for the recommendation, I'll then be looking for any against, and then we'll be moving just to try and move it along. That is the strict standing orders. I don't like them, but we've got to start chugging away. Page 392, Life Education Trust. Questions for Lola? I go to, they regularly invite me, obviously. There's reasons or motivations behind them inviting me. It's a nice wee thing that's been happening for the last 15 years that I know of. I'm ambivalent, put it that way. Councillor Ludman.
I think it's good. We've supported it in the past. It's right across the district, and I would actually be happy to move the recommendation.
Seconder, please. Councillor McCrusty. Discussion now on the recommendation. There's no further discussion. Put to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against?
Councillor Urban.
We're doing it quick today, I tell you, Julie. Next one's Milton Information Centre. Questions, anyone? Councillor Volwheeler.
No, sorry, I don't have a question.
If there's no questions, we'll move to Councillor Volwheeler.
I'll move the motion that council confirms the funding of $13,108.84 for the next 3 years, funded from the UAGC. This is Milton Information Centre. It's really for their operating costs. They operate out of the old post office, the museum in Milton, and all our other information centres receive funding from council. They do this smell and oily rag, as it were, and it doesn't cover any wages, salaries.
You moved, didn't you? You did move, so I need a seconder, please. Councillor Graham. Discussion team. Councillor Catherwood.
I was probably For Bruce's, so this is a volunteer run, volunteer museum and information centre.
This is for the information centre side of it. Yes, they're volunteers.
The volunteers, the whole operation. Oh, fantastic.
Okay, put to the vote, I think, team. Are we ready? All those in favour, please raise your hand and say aye.
Everybody.
Those against, unanimous. Southern Youth Development Trust. Questions, team? There are no questions, matters open for discussion. Can I say, SID is the old Malcolm Trust, which is Tess. Tess is a blooming good asset to our, her and Lil have a big input into the youth council. She's part of the team, and it's sort of awkward that we're basically putting a hand up on a staff member as such. I know that it's not, but it is, because she works here. She works in with the schools. She does a fantastic job at the youth council and the most challenging of young people in our district, and I 100% support her. It's in the baseline for 38 or 39,000. They're requesting an additional 7, so there'll be a 7 change. I acknowledge that, but in these inflationary times, and to the best of my knowledge, it's the first time we've come for a change. It means a lot to our youth council and the young people to have it. Councillor Lindman.
I fully support this. We've previously, yesterday, supported the other part of this really program for the bikes. So, it's just a great program that we have across the district, which is desperately needed. You ask the schools and that's what they would tell you. In fact, will you take a recommendation yet?
I'll go back to Ellie. Just one step too quick maybe for this one. Councillor McAtamaney.
Yeah, my only query again on, raising the money is again, it seems to have come from an organisation with reasonable balance sheet. In these struggling times, should some groups have to dip into their own cash reserves if they're looking for extra money at the moment?
So, because I have had quite a bit to do with the old Malcolm Trust and now SID, and what a balance sheet, I don't actually know what it is. You know, the old urban legends of Malcolm Cameron sleeping in his car, so there's another $100 to give to a kid, and nicking his wife's car. That's the ethos of the group. And now that it's, I suppose they'll have a cash flow, and in all honesty, I don't know what it is, but I know the ethos is pretty oily rag, John. In fact, I don't know a group that runs on an oily rag like Malcolm Cameron used to squeeze it out.
Well, last year they had a surplus of 79,000. So.
It's over at Targa Southland, is it?
Yeah. So
that shows with the amount of staff they employ. And sorry, I'm bouncing backwards and forwards.
Yeah, they do have cash in the bank. But this I'm not debating the base funding. I'm just debating the
Any further before I go back to Ellie? Ellie? Oh, what?
Oh, just well, with what Simon Timley's saying is a compromise that we actually don't increase the funding, but we can continue to support it.
Yeah.
I presume that'll get flushed out in the vote.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know enough about it.
Ellie.
As I said when I spoke, this has been obviously in our district way back since 2013. I can remember when it was initiated. So actually, I would like to remove the recommendation as it stands that we approve the funding increase.
I have a second to Councillor Payne. We're open for discussion. Put to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, your worship.
All those against, please raise your hands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, your worship.
Motion's lost. Do we have another motion, please? Councillor Catherwood.
unfortunate, I don't know more about this from what I've been reading, but the council does not approve the funding increase and leaves budget of 38,580.
Perhaps, councillor, you to assist, it could be just something the council confirms the existing budget of 38,580.
So I have a move, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor McCroskey, matters open for discussion. No further discussion, we're quite clear what we're voting for, the 38. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Aye.
It's unanimous, your worship.
Okay, thank you, team. Sport Otago, Glow. Any questions? No questions? Let's go to discussions. What's everyone's thoughts? Councillor Ludeman, you're on fire today.
Sorry, I need to get moving, but I just confirm, you know, we've supported Sport Otago for a number of years. They do a good, the Sport Clutha setup works really well here for the Clutha district. They're actually not asking for an increase in funding, they're actually just asking for what was already in the budget. So you're probably not ready for a motion, but
Wasn't a heck of a lot of hands flying around? Is anyone going to surprise me with hands?
I'll put the motion that both two that we confirm on both 1 and 2.
Okay, so I've got a mover of both. Do I have a seconder of both, please? Councillor Payne, again, matters open for discussion. Councillor Grant.
Yeah, these guys support not just school kids, right through to the elderly with their walking programs and all that. So the whole community benefits from it. So I'll be supporting it.
Councillor Catherwood.
Yeah, I'll be in support of it, and it's a program that I have had experience with and seen throughout our district. Last year they had a wonderful triathlon that involved all the kids from our district, so I'm in support of it.
Okay, team, I think we're ready for a vote. Let's put to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous again. Surf Life Saving Club New Zealand, questions for Logan. Any questions, team? I suppose it's come back from another year, so we know pretty much what the discussion is, so matters open for discussion. Councillor Kennedy.
I know this is very important to some people in the area. Did do a drive round, had a look at the building and that the other day. Sadly, the building that's there has not been maintained. The grass is coming out of the gutterings like this, so no wonder it's sort of broken down and water running down. The facial boards are all. And I sort of wonder, has there been a time where, I don't know whether there's been a difference of communication with members and that, but obviously they haven't got behind each other and kept this building in a reasonable state, even to the insides of garage or shed windows that are totally all clagged up and the rest of it. I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. Hopefully there is funding coming from government for them, that they may get a little bit of the pie. I don't think they'll get much because a lot of that will end up at the big clubs up in the North Island.
Michelle, I think that's the funding for the building. This is for the surf life savings between Christmas and New Year's.
Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, on the wrong
sorry,
page.
I took it just.
Sorry.
You're right. It's been a long day.
Oh.
It's only just Councillor Payne, followed by
Thank you, Your Worship. So this discussion has not changed one iota since we had it last time round for me. The money that we're paying actually doesn't stay in the district, I don't feel. I think it gets to the need, and we're employing people that are travelling each day. We saw all the breakdown on it last time round. There was lots of travelling costs. It's such a terrible thing because we need the lifesavers. It's really important, but I'm reluctant to fund any extra. I'll probably go with what we're doing, but I'll be reluctant to fund everything extra. So that's where I'm at.
Councillor Ludeman.
probably see it a bit differently. And last time I wasn't happy about it going out of the district and not going to our local, but I come to terms with that's the only way that we fund our life-saving crew here at Kaka Point. They're important, they do a good job, and actually support our surf lifesavers. I've got a granddaughter that's actually is down there every weekend, voluntary doing surf lifesaving. She didn't get paid a cent, and she's down there every weekend doing it. And if we don't have these others coming down, what will we have in the district? We'll just have drownings and everything else. That club, I know what Michelle says about the building, but actually they're training their lifeguards, and we've got them. We've got to support this, I think. So, yeah, I would be supporting it fully. I can.
Councillor Catherwood.
I enjoy the passion. Councillor Letterman. I look at it a little bit differently that we've got a lot of clubs in our district. And, you know, we haven't got a huge pot of money to go around. I'm actually going to, I'm sort of siding with King Payne, Councillor Payne on this, where I know that this goes straight to Surf Life Saving New Zealand. Between that club and Surf Life Saving New Zealand, support of 25,000. I know there's a lot of other clubs in our district that would love that type of support to run good programs in our district. So I'm not in support of increasing it to 50,000.
I suppose I have another way of looking at it, that like Doug Henderson and Mark Van Asperen and that it's almost their life mission, the Surf Life Saving Club, and they're in that hiatus point where they've got a whole lot of young ones. They're 13, 14, they just need that time to bide. And I take your point on about the building, Michelle, but they were running to the finish line with that when they, their eyes are, every penny goes into the new building. I think it is a club with a good heart, but we're looking at giving 3 years. And I'm wondering just how long they need before the young locals come through and we can take it back over. Is it 1 year, 2 years? Sam, I don't know that. I'm hesitant. Once we do it for 3 years, it'll be locked and loaded as a structured system and we'll never get it back. So I'm open to suggestion because I don't know where to go with this one. I want to support them, but I haven't got a clue. Well, I have got a clue. You're going to tell me.
Can I ask a
Sure can.
Lil, the money, does it go into the central pot? Or does it actually stay in this district? It goes to the pot, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it goes.
We've had this discussion before. Yeah.
Councillor Volweiler, I'm looking early, I know, but I've got to go to first time calls.
While we sort of compare it to other clubs in our district in some ways, it is actually providing a service. It's not just to the people who are involved in the club, it's actually providing a service to people who are using the beach, to the general public who come and use the beach at Kaka Point. So it's the benefit is wider than just the actual club members itself. I take on board what his worship is saying, and I wonder if we just perhaps do an annual grant, perhaps increase it to 30,000, sort of a midway, just a little bit of an increase. And if you're prepared to take a motion at this stage, perhaps I'll contest the meeting.
Yeah, okay. I'm noticing because Ali wanted to, but she's nodding her head. So if I get a mover in a second, then I'm not jumping on anyone's toes.
Council approves a funding increase, or approves a funding grant. You just want it a funding increase of $5,480 to $30,000 in the 2024-25 year.
Second, please.
It's 1 year in an increment of to 30.
Councillor Ludeman, say that, yeah. Discussion? Councillor Barron?
It's like an insurance policy that you're buying here because there's been no one saved there from death, from what we heard from that last one. 47 people have died, but not between the flags. Not between the flags. They're only there for, I think it's an 8-week period or a 10-week period. So we're getting our heartstrings pulled to pay some money for 10 weeks to ensure that if someone does die, we can't come here and say, oh, jeez, we buggered it up. We didn't get a lifeguard there. So it's a very tough decision for me to make to spend that sort of money. But, and the other thing I'll add is that when people are on the beach, most of them have adults, and sometimes you've got to think that Surf Lifesaving might take the responsibility away from the parents and let their kids run wild and not have to look after them as much as they should. And then you go down to Tagger Point at that time, and they're all down the beach or at Crora Creek. They're right round. They're out where there's no life-saving guards. So it's a very tricky one when we're only talking about this area between the flags for a 10-week period. So that's my discussion.
Councillor McTamaney.
If I make a comment, just going back to what they provided us with their cost last year, they actually did provide a service for 5 weeks, and they spent $45,000, and we only gave them $25,000. So they actually found another $20,000 to provide that service for the full 5 weeks. I remember at their submission last year, they said that $25,000 will only provide for 3 weeks. They actually did 5 weeks. Interestingly, that.
Okay, are we ready to put it to the vote? So we know what we're voting for. 1 year, 30,000. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
I can live with that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
Sorry, it was a new one.
Done.
Councillor Graham.
Right, and all those against, please raise your hands. There's no abstaining. And just as an aside, I was in the Surf Life Saving Club for 20 years, and the only rescue I can remember that we did was a wee kid about 3 or 4 years old got a certain part of his anatomy stuck in a Lane's lemonade bottle. So it was a matter of life and death for that wee fella, but that's the only one I can remember. The memories, right. South Otago Historic Society. Questions for Lou, please? No questions. Matter open for discussion.
No.
Councillor Ludeman, followed by Barron.
Start. I actually kind of struggle a little bit with this, as I've always said, we need a museum curator for across the district, and I've always been reluctant to fund one museum for a museum curator when actually it's kind of wanted across the district. I guess that's my comment at the stage.
Councillor Barron.
I'd agree with that. I've been involved in the South Otago Historical Society many years ago, and it was even brought up then in a meeting that we should have someone across the whole district. And even with this long-term plan, we've got Lawrence and Wacker. There's a whole lot of museums to happen, and we should bundle them all together somehow and have a meeting and talk about how we do this on a Clutha-wide basis over the next 10 years rather than just this one-off to each one. We look at the South Otago Historical Society, we know they get 2 people a day through so it's just definitely a subsidy to have someone there they're trying to de-access the excess stock. And I think that the curator, we should change the recommendation that they're there for the next 12 months to do that job, report back how they got rid of it, and then in the next 12 months we put a team together to look at the whole historical societies, museums, and what we think we should do with them, given what goes to the Otago Museum and There's a lot of work to be done.
So councillors Graham, Herbert and South. No, done. Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, look, I kind of carry on from that. I think we all agree with these things in principle, but the fact is it's sort of kind of unfair. And we have got a lot of museums around the district, you know, moving in different directions. So I'm thinking exactly along the lines of Councillor Barron, whether it means we have a policy on museums or we have some kind of memorandum of understanding with museums or some kind of agreement when we all sit around here, it's actually fair for each and every museum. Because what we support the Combined Museums Trust, and then we have this one doing that, and we've got this one over here doing this, and they're all kind of pulling in different directions and different funding. So we need, whether it's a policy, Steve, I'm not sure, or it's just a heads of agreement with museums or what it is. But I would rather see the Combined Museums Fund rather than and they they all share it together. Fairness.
So from my point, this comes back year after year, and I don't know how much we have to shout it out. We set up the combined museums. If they came to us with a request for a curator across the district, I'd support it. But when we go to one museum and say, yes, we're split, we're done, then we've got to, so I don't know whether anyone's listening from the museum at the moment, but for goodness sake, if you did it through the combined museums, it would have the support of the combined. We've already got the district and we're in. We've done it just as quick. The group's there. It's actually breaking the system that we put together to not do it that way. So for that reason, as in other years, I can't support it. Councillor Graham, followed by Catherwood, and then we'll probably be heading towards this, and then Martin, and then we'll be heading towards something.
It's my understanding that the curator does actually spend time at the other museums. I'm pretty sure she's spent time at Kai, because I asked them at a Kai Prana meeting. So, and I was on the understanding that she's there on call for them, basically. If they want the use of a curator, they only need to yell out.
Councillor Catherwood, followed by Martin, then I'm hunting for a recommendation.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've band-aided this for a couple of years, coming through. I've seen the numbers come through. I'm not in support of funding this because on the same boat again, we've got the Historical Society in one area self-funding themselves. We've got volunteer situations going on. We've got always too many different situations going on. I don't see it fair enough around the district, and I'd love to see the combined museums come and sort out a better funding mechanism. So I'm not in support of funding South Otago.
Councillor Martin.
Sort of puts the others between a rock and a hard place, to be quite honest. Like, you look at the one below and they're coming at us too for financial assistance. Their wording is a manager. And it's a hard one to assess because Councillor Barron said they get 2 people through the door. Well, I know our local museum got 2,500 people through the door the last quarter. So you've got to measure each one on its own merits, I suppose, and it's just going to be real difficult. Yeah.
Someone got an epiphany moment to do something. Some Councillor Bolwell.
That's right. Just a question. So they're asking for an increase in funding here for the curator salary. So at the moment it's 25,000 basically. Is that 25,000 confirmed as well? Anyway, so it's just
in the budget. Sharon, it's in the budget, isn't it?
I believe so, but I'm just going to check.
So we don't have to confirm that as well.
Yeah.
Well, through your worship, I mean, everything's up for grabs. We've,
Yeah, it is.
we've put ones that have had existing funding in place in front of you to confirm. Some of them asked for inflation adjusted, but there've been ones that have gone through, so you have that ability with this recommendation.
It's just making sure. I don't want to see it taken to nothing. That's all.
Councillor Barron.
I would suggest that we approve the existing funding for another year with the proviso that we are going to revisit the whole thing, because if we don't approve the funding, the museum just closes. Because there's no one going to go there, and I don't think we can just cut the cord just like that. I think we've got a responsibility because we haven't approached it over the last few years to make a difference, to get it sorted out. And I think it's up to us to sort it out. So let them come there and tell them that just do the minimum that you do. We're not going to lose any money over 2 people a day going there, or they're not going to gain any money. But in the next 12 months, we're going to look at the combined museum and fund the whole lot, get a different model.
That's formation.
So I will take that, but Sharon's got a hand up.
I just want to confirm it's not in the base salary. It's not in the base budget.
Oh, it's in here, it is.
So when we're confirming, all the way through this book, I thought when it said confirm it, it's in it, so we just move on.
It's not in.
But none of them are.
This one isn't.
Just this one.
Yeah, there.
Okay, so Councillor Barron, I take it that your recommendation was that you approve the base budget of 24,920 for the 24-25 year.
Correct.
Do I have a seconder, please?
And your worship, just in the second part, we don't need to put that in the second part, councillor. We can look at the work program to review the museum funding like we're doing with pools.
Yeah. Do we have to put it in, or will we have enough nous to do something?
If the council is generally comfortable, because you've said the same thing without getting a resolution for the pool review, we can do the same for museum.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move her. I need a seconder, Councillor Grant.
No.
Oh, no, so I need a second to someone. Councillor McCroskey. Councillor Grant.
To attract people to the community, you've got to have good amenities. And whether it be swimming pool or hardball or whatever it is, but museums are really important to a lot of people. Might not be to young people or whatever, but and I see the funding here that you can either, for your community grow, you can either sit back there and leave it as it is and it's going to stagnate, or you can invest in your amenities. And I really think we should be increasing it to make it more attractive. For only 2 people a day or whatever visiting it, or a bit more investment, and you might find those numbers double.
As you did it, Kevin, you close it. That's the only thing. So, Councillor Catherwood, followed by Val Wheeler.
It's probably more in response to that. I think we've just actually, motion's been put that we continue the support that was been given in this financial year, because we're actually going to go and deal with the review of all our museums. So I'm actually in support of the motion.
Councillor Val Wheeler.
While I'll probably vote for the motion, I'll just make the comment though that while it's not just about the visitor numbers. At the moment, it's not just about the visitor numbers that go to the museum. I think it's important that the history of our district is preserved, and that we're supporting somebody to actually do that. There has to be some way of improving that museum down there where we actually keep our history. It's not in good condition at the moment. But, what Dr. McKechnie is doing is actually a vital part of is vital for this district. I think if the museum was just to close and the artefacts were just to sit there and deteriorate, we would lose something incredibly important in our history. So I think it's important to give some support, and we probably should be giving some more support at the moment. Support the motion as it is.
Councillor Ludeman, followed by Sal.
I actually, while I made the comment that I would like to see something done about museum curators across the district, and I can see that we've kind of moved forward and we're going to look into that, I would be supporting a higher increase in salaries for this one, because we're for just 1 year and then revisiting it. The museum's important, and I think we're almost giving the wrong message by not increasing to a certain extent.
From my perspective, having the focus on a solution, finally pushing a solution is needed. I think that's good. And I'd like the scope extended. It's almost like a waste of time, but we've got to extend it to the obscene situation that we have with the Otago Museum. If the disproportionately high amount of money we are giving to museums of the district, it's just all going up there in comparison with Central Otago, Waitaki and Queenstown. So if that could also be included in the scope, because if we got any movement there, it frees up our ability to support our own. Is there any further discussion, or do we put to the vote?
Couple of words.
Yeah, you close it if that's nice.
I agree with Councillor Graham and Ludeman, and if we had the money, I'd like to give them everything that they ask for, because it's very important, heritage and culture. The complication, and it's never been resolved, is that it's like Tacoma. We don't own the building that they're in, and yet the building's worth probably $300,000-400,000, and that's where the discussion has to be. How do we turn the asset that they've got and the asset of the I'll call them antiques, I can't think of the name, the stuff in the museum, into a better position, like the tapping we want to do with the tractors and Gables, the museum up there. We've got to have a real, what we're going to do during the year to sort that out. If we can afford to increase the curator's salary to give them some hope, I would be in favour of increasing it to, say, $34,000 a year, 25 to 35,000. So I would move that we approve funding.
Sorry, hold on. You've done the move.
Okay, yeah. No, you tell me how to do it.
No, we vote on that one.
You've already moved 24.
Well, I suppose he can change his recommendation with the support of the second.
I move an amendment that we increase the funding to $35,000.
That's the other way we can do it. Someone else does it, and then you're in the clear. You could second that and show your support. I know he.
As the mover of the original. Can't. Just following standard.
Sorry, so as we are today, so 35, 1 year.
Yeah.
Second or somewhere.
Yes.
No, can't. You're the only one. I will, just to get her going. Discussion on the amendment. Put the amendment to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Your Worship.
Those against?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please keep it up. 9, Your Worship.
Motion carried. So the amendment has been carried. It now becomes the substantive motion. Discussion on that, please. If not, I'll put it to the vote. Everyone knows what the vote is. It's 35. This is the motion now. So put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, Your Worship.
Those against, please raise your hands.
1, 2, got them joined.
And abstaining, there must be someone. I'm missing someone.
No, we're too short.
As you were. Okay, Tuapeka Gold Society Incorporated. Any questions for Lil? She's been standing there for almost an hour. We need to give her a chair.
going to say, you're not encouraging questions.
No, we're not, but the poor thing's standing there waiting. You can have a seat if you want. No, we're not gonna mind if you jump up at the last minute. So, questions, councillor Mackie?
You know what, I just see that, like, these things start out really good, like, let's get a museum going, or let's get this going, and for a start, it's them, and you have people that volunteer all their time, and then all of a sudden, there's, we need some money, and then we need someone to be paid to look after it, and someone to do this, and someone to do that. So these, because we don't have a plan, and it comes back to we don't have a plan on these things, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they keep coming across this table because we don't have a plan. We're at a time when we're trying to save money, but we're being asked for more money all the time. And man, these decisions aren't easy. And it would be easier if we had some plans for running these things and how we were going to fund them going forward.
Councillor Ludeman and then South.
I actually do approve. I'm talking to number 1 at the moment, and I do approve funding for that. I mean, that's a vital part of our community with the bike trail and everything coming through, and I accept that, increase there, so I would be supporting that.
So mine's in 2 parts. First part, Sharon, could you please tell me, is the 55,800 already in the baseline, and consequently it's only the 9,200 impact on rates?
Correct.
Done. So for me, to be consistent with the previous vote, I would support the base amount, not the increase, and not the second part of the recommendation. In fairness, to keep the line in the sand. Councillor Martin, followed by Catherine.
Question for Lily. Looking at the board up there, Lily. Have you been to the Chupica Goldfields Museum for a look yourself?
Yes, I have.
Quite impressed? Great. Like I said before, we're put in a very awkward situation here, but we're not comparing apples with apples, I'm afraid. If for those councillors who do take the time to read the minutes of the Lawrence Chupica Community Board, you'll note that there was 2,532 visitors that walked through the doors of our information centre and museum. Not 2,500. So you cannot compare apples with apples. So this facility, and sorry, Councillor Mackie, has been going for a very, very long time, decades. So it's nothing new. It's there, and it's growing rapidly. And hence, they're reaching out to us to help cope with the influx. We've already got hundreds of volunteer hours go in to keep the doors of this building open for the pleasure of the travelling public. I'm in strong support of their recommendation 1 here.
Lil's still waiting for the question.
I did. Well, she went to I'll ask her if she'd been there.
Poor things out there waiting. Where are we? We're kidding. Sorry,
I'm waiting for the discussion.
So questions, team. We'll do the questions. Councillor Barron, look by Mac.
A question to Councillor Martin or Lil, whoever wants to speak. Is there an entrance fee for the 2,500 people? Did they give us $2 each or $10?
There's a donations box there.
A donation box?
Yep.
And how much did the 2,500 people put in the donation?
Don't know, sorry. Can't answer that. I'm not on the committee.
Do you know, Lil?
I'll just have a quick look at the submission, see if it says. I'm not sure off the top of my head, sorry.
That's disappointing. We had it right there.
One assumes it goes through their box, so it might show up.
Did they give the finances? I can't remember. So what we could do, Councillor Barron, while Lily's looking at that, I'll go to Councillor McAtamney, then I'll go back to Lily.
Lily, I was going to ask a question. I think I can possibly trying to find out what the museum manager's salary is for the Tuapeka Gold Museum. And because we've just voted on a salary for the curator.
Yeah,
So I'm looking for a bit of consistency. It's separate to the item about increasing the money.
Currently, through you, Your Worship, we don't fund anything for the salary for the manager. They're asking that we approve 38,000 for there to be a salary. It used to be funded from, like.
I think Debbie's about to answer.
Yeah, Debbie might help.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship. So just a little bit of background on this. So you may remember that we used to fund the Tuapeka Community Company. Some money, we gave them a grant to provide visitor information services, and that supported to a couple of part-time staff, if I remember rightly. And those staff operated out of the museum, but they weren't museum staff. So when the Tuapeka Community Company wound up, we negotiated with the Tuapeka Museum, or Goldfields Museum, because they wanted to retain these staff, because we knew this visitor information activity right at the front of the museum drew people in, and it had a really positive impact on the visitation to the museum. And they agreed to take these staff on. So the funding that went to the Tuapeka Company was essentially transferred to the Goldfields Museum. In the grant funding agreement, it doesn't mention museum curatorial services or anything. It was purely and simply for the visitor information staff. What wasn't taken into account is that these staff are working 7 days a week, and they do need some degree of support, leadership support, submission, in terms of backfilling if they're on leave, or just general employment things.
For that,
and we
have to turn off aeroplane mode.
Yeah, so one of the part of the submission is asking for some additional grant funding to support the manager to play a more active role in looking after this team there, really.
Thank you. So both answered. I was going to come back to Kevin, but I think that's.
It just is further to my question. I think I found my own answer. I think they fund 10 hours out of their own money that they generate, plus someone else donates 20 hours a week.
Councillor Martin.
And just to note too, we're talking to item number 1, it's for the provision of information services. It's got nothing to do with the museum. Just to clarify that. The museum is item number 2.
But don't they cross over those same stuff?
There's a crossover, but we're dealing with the recommendations that are in front of us.
So I'm looking for a recommendation to be put in front of us. Councillor Martin.
I'll be more than happy to move what the recommendation is and approve it. The extra funding, the funding increase.
Second. Councillor Herbert. Discussion. I now have the pit of the gut dilemma. How do I be consistent with the last vote to support this? Because I want to support, but it's inconsistent. Councillor Catholic.
Good old museums. I took the time to go and actually have a look at this because it's on our recommendation number 2, which is still involved in that same building. So it is a large increase, and we're trying to look for fairness throughout the district. I'm glad that we're going to bring museums to the fore. But anyway, I went along, had a look, right, some information centre. They're providing brilliant information and services there. And I put a couple of gold coins in. It was $4, so that went through, dropped it into their donation box. And brilliant setup, really well done. I mean, they got massive challenges ahead. It's a very old building, but obviously it's working.
it's in a great location on the street. So I'm actually going to support the motion we've got on number 1 to help boost, but I'm pretty sure it should get them through another year. We boost it. So I'm going to be in support.
I thought a tycoon billy like you would have put $20.
No,
That's the biggest in
$4.
Someone else, anyone else? Hold on, have we got to move in a second?
Yes.
Yeah, we have. So if we haven't got any more hands flying up, we're going to a vote. All right, put to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Aye.
Everybody to yourself, your worship. Anybody you can?
Yeah, I'll do that bit. Yeah. All those against? Thank you.
So you abstain?
Correct.
Excuse me, can I just ask a question before we actually go any further forward? I go back to the South Otago Historical Society, and we actually didn't discuss recommendation 2 there. We did recommendation 1, but we seemed to skip over recommendation 2 and went.
You were dead right, we did. Well done, Ellie. Can I finish this one and I'm going back to that one?
As long as you go back to.
Yeah, no, well done, because I did it. Didn't someone move both? Is that the one? Did someone move both? Can I ask? Who was the mover of that one? No, as you were. Yeah, I got all mixed up with the standard motion. But I won't be confused on this one. I'll go to the second one of the goldfields, and then I'll go back to the theatrical. No, not the theatrical, the historical. So second one, questions for love. No questions. Discussion.
One question.
Yep.
Lily, is there a person in mind for this role, or would they have to advertise and go through the process?
Through you, Your Worship, if you recall at the submission hearings, Jess Wakeler, I think that says her name properly, is currently the museum curator, and she volunteers her time with the position, so she would continue on, but she would actually have the role funded and have a salary.
Yeah.
My understanding.
Councillor Martin.
Question, Lily. I see in here, and Jess, I think it's Welcher is her last name. She come and actually spoke to the public forum, didn't she? Yeah, and didn't she also say that she spends time around the rest of the district helping the other museum curators?
Yes.
Voluntary?
Through you, Your Worship, she voluntary has been helping some of the other museum staff get their certificate in.
Yeah, the certificate.
To be creative.
Yeah, no, thanks for confirming that, Lily. So currently they're saying here, Lily, that the manager donates 20 hours a week voluntary time. So, and they're open, you might as well say 52 weeks of the year. So that's 1,000 hours at a minimum wage of $23.15. So there's $23,150 that she's giving as a koha to the Lawrence Tuapeka district and the wider Luther district. That would be fair to say, wouldn't it?
Thank you, Lily.
It's a twist.
Yeah.
But if that's the questions, matters open for discussion. Councillor Barron, followed by Catherine.
I think this highlights the need to have this combined discussion. And if this woman's doing what she's doing, and we want to curate it to look after the whole district, she's already, that sounds like, doing part of that role. And it would be, if we get a model for the museums of the district, this person may be suitable for that, and the salary may be more than what she's applied for here, if it was discussed, and she could streamline the whole thing. So I would. Do I say anything?
No, we've already got them. No, we haven't.
No, we haven't. No, it's still questions.
I would suggest that we put this on hold till we have the meeting, the funding of the 38,000. But I seek recommendations that she gets the minimum wage for the time that she does do if it's paid.
Councillor Catherwood, South Wellwell.
So we're having a discussion, Your Worship. So I'm actually going to, so here I am on one, giving the Tuapeka Goldfields Museum Incorporated Society, we've approved some extra funding there, been through the premises. I'm on this, I do not approve, on this side of it, I'm not approving a fixed salary of 38 per annum. Just because I'm looking at the other models, I mean, they do a wonderful job as a museum and an info centre, and I look at the museum and info centre and I work out, and I'm looking at all the different models around, and same thing. So I'm not going to approve because I want us to come back before and we'll deal with this issue when we look at museums throughout our whole district. So on this particular model, this particular recommendation, I'm not in support.
I'm betwixt and between me, you, because to remain consistent with our previous vote, one curator, lovely person, Rose, another lovely person, and I want to support them. But for God's sake, I scream out again, could you go to the combined museums? That's the whole idea of it, to sort it out. And if we're going to incrementally slip here, what do we do there? We've already done. I don't think it's fair that she does a year of voluntary. That's not fair either, because we did supply the ability for the South Otago Historic to at least do some. We're stitching ourselves up and going away from what we said we were going to do in incremental steps.
Can I please make a comment?
All right, then, well, thank God you did. Good intervention.
Through you, Your Worship, just noting that the Combined Museum's current agreement is their funding that they can ask for council and whatnot for is just for the operational. And they can't be asking for salary. So in the work plan that you were talking about, we can look into adding that. But currently, it's not a thing. I keep hearing that why don't they just go to Combined Museums and they do the submission, but it's not what's in the agreement currently. So we can look at doing that, but it's not what's already there.
Well done, Lil, but we're going to change the rules on it. Councillor Volwella, followed by Ludeman Graham.
Just for a start, can I just ask the question relating? I want to know how consistent we are. Just what funding do we give the Awaka, the Waka Museum?
22,000 for information services on weekends. Is that correct?
That was an agreement for the information centre.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah. And then the only other divvy they get is from the combined historical.
So there's no funding for salaries.
No.
Councillor Ludeman. Sorry.
Finished, Your Worship. I just noticed when we go through the submission from the Tuapeka Museum, Goldfields Museum, that they've got support, letters of support from Awaka, from South Otago, from the combined museums. So, and the combined museums one was written by Milton, volunteer who is, I'm not sure what her position is in the Milton Museum, but she said that additional training a curator undertakes a great benefit. So the position is a valuable asset to the district, providing heritage services to visitors. I think the other museums actually see this as a supporting role for themselves too, as is mentioned earlier. So I'm probably going to actually support the funding this position, certainly for 1 year, if we're actually going to take a study how we move forward as that district.
Councillor Ludeman, Graham, Mark.
Thanks, Lee. You were right with the way the combined museums are funded. this is really a question to start. Is there an opportunity here? I know it hasn't been submitted on, but could we actually kind of almost park these, but actually put in the budget some funding for curator for this funding year, and actually, why wait another year to be doing this properly? Could we not put some money in the budget, agree on an amount that is put in, and then sat down in the next month or two and actually it done? Because otherwise we're waiting a whole year. We're giving, who knows whether this will get the funding or whatever, but it's needed. And do we really have to wait another year? Can we not put some money in the budget now and park these recommendations to go as part of that?
Through your worship, you've made a resolution in relation to one curator salary, and you've got a debate now about another one. I don't suspect that what you are thinking is going to be a quick job will be a quick job. It's all well and good to be saying, let's do this review, but I can guarantee you that if we brought you back a strategy that says you're going to put significant funding, rates funding or whatever into museums, which would be the case if you were going to be funding curators across the board or whatever, or increased, a desire to increase investment, you'll be looking seriously at what that means and how you have to address it. And then what is the model appropriate for it? So that's why I don't think that you will get the review that you think you're going to get if you think it's going to be 1 month.
Councillor Graham Martin Payne.
Yeah, through you. Look, I know what Councillor Martin says, it's not apples to apples in these cases and that, but I think there's got to be a consistency and fairness across the district, and I wonder how much funding the Kai Museum gets, and I'm pretty sure it's nothing. So I won't be supporting.
Councillor Martin, followed by Payne.
Through you, Worship, is it an appropriate time that I'd like to propose an amendment to the recommendation two?
Well, we have no recommendation, so you could propose an alternative recommendation.
Well, I'd like to move that the council approves the Chuapeka Goldfields Museum Incorporated Society's request for additional funding of $19,000 per annum for the museum manager's salary. And the reason I'm pick $19,000, I know we don't want to be setting precedents, but as we're all aware, in tough times, a little bit's better than nothing. And the other motive behind it is, as I discussed, 1,000 volunteer hours at minimum wage, it goes a long way towards it.
Can I have a clarification, Councillor, because you didn't do the years, so you only want it for 1 year, and that's why you didn't list the 3 years?
Yeah, just the 1 year while it goes back to council with the combined museums.
So that's 19,000 for this year. I've got to move around there. Second of Councillor Mack. Matters open for discussion. Councillor Barron. Oh, sorry. My apologies. I did have Councillor Payne after that, and then. Sorry.
Yes, thanks, Your Worship. I'm really struggling with all of this, to be quite honest, and look, I'm inclined to agree with Councillor Barron right from the beginning that it does need the whole review, and we need to go through all of this. And there's already 10 years partially funded, I think I'm correct. We're asking for another 20 years. I'm struggling with it because I can see the animosity that's going to develop between the museums and the current curators and elsewhere. So it's a real bugbear for me at the moment to approve this without further information.
That doesn't sound right.
Order, please. So, Councillor Barron.
My question to the recommendation is, and I'm not sure whether the 38,000 was for a full-time position or just for the existing 20 hours that she donates her time now. So was it 20,000?
You have to ask Lily that question.
Was it 20,000 for her current time that she puts in that you're proposing, Or is it for,
As per the recommendation here, if you read it, in addition, request, it's all written there.
additional funding?
Currently, the museum manager donates approximately 20 hours a week.
10 hours
Voluntary.
partially funded.
But yeah,
No, she donates 20 hours a week, voluntary. You know, that's after she's been paid for 10 hours.
yeah.
So she's doing over 30 hours a week.
Sorry, we should pull it on. Lou, do you have anything officially to add?
For you, your worship, it's 30 hours from my understanding.
So 20,000 for 30 hours a week.
19.
19.
19,000 for 30 hours a week. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, as it reads here, she's currently partially funded for 10 hours per week on a temporary basis. And then on top of that, she donates approximately 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
There's still going to be some donated because 19,000 for minimum wage will be 11 hours or something. 11. Councillor Cathwood.
Yes, we're in discussion. Yes, I'm trying to stay consistent. I went against funding over here at the South Otago. Now, we've just approved giving $10,000 more to the Tuapeka Goldfields Museum, which includes 10 hours. We've just approved 10,000 in our last recommendation. So I'm actually going to not approve this recommendation of 19,000. Because they already have supported by giving $10,000 extra to the Tuapeka Goldfields Museum. Now, how they divvy that up.
Okay, team, if there's no more hands going up, we're putting it to the vote. There's a little hand up.
For you, your worship, just in response to Councillor Cathwood's point there, the recommendation 1 is for the provision of information services. So the $10,000 is for the information services side of it, not for the museum. They're two separate.
The Tuapeka Goldfields Museum Incorporated Society.
Yes.
Do we operate how they run their books? Or do they resort how they deal with their funding?
Just to reiterate again from what Debbie had mentioned, right? We negotiated and organised with the museum to take over the information service that had previously been done by another organisation that folded. And we provide funding for those information services just like we do throughout all the other parts of the district. So they took on that funding. And yes, whilst they are the entity, the museum, it is a specific service that they do on our behalf, just like it happens anywhere else in the district. And so it is that service that is being, and so the point I'd probably make, just for clarity, I think it would be unreasonable to argue the point that the museum is a different funding stream relating to the information services that it could work on. We asked them to take on the service to deliver it more efficiently, and it's the same as any other provision or provider of information services. It's just provided by the museum and should be separated in terms of that revenue stream.
Right, I'm heading towards the vote.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what we're voting? 1 year, 19,000. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, your worship.
All those against, please raise your hands.
Aye. 1, 2, your worship.
Sorry, who was the other?
No, it's
Cathwood and Graham.
Sitting on the fence, it's quite comfy on the fence actually.
Ian didn't vote.
Oh, come on.
I abstain. So we're going to go back to the number 2 of South Otago Historic Society. So specifically on that, questions for Lel? If there are no questions, discussion.
Is there a person doing that job now, voluntary? Does someone exist, or is this a new position?
I'm not sure, sorry.
Thank you.
Councillor Bowell.
Just as I recall from the submission, and when Dr. McKechnie spoke, that she did have somebody who was actually helping her at that time, a young person. As I recall.
Well done.
Thank you.
Councillor Lubman.
She said, I recall someone helping, and to be consistent here, I would be probably, once we've had discussion, recommending a smaller amount than that for a year, just to be consistent with Tuapeka Golf Museum.
Councillor McTavish.
On the matter of consistency, I struggle to see how you could fund that if you didn't fund the full amount requested in the previous recommendation.
Not the full amount.
This is for the Historic Society.
You didn't want to fund the current creator to what they requested. Yet you're happy to fund an assistant.
Oh, we're going back.
So yes, we've gone back to the South Otago Historic Society number 2 that we're going to do. Councillor Valwela.
I'm sorry, I just assumed really that having moved one, there was no appetite to fund.
Sorry guys, can we?
Additional to fund number 2, the assistant's position, so that's, yeah.
2 goes at it.
One go at this one. I agree with Councillor Volwell. I presume that decision that was made on recommendation 1 cancelled out recommendation 2, but if we're going to deal with this recommendation 2, I do not approve the extra funding.
Can I have someone move, please? Councillor Barron.
I'll move that the council does not approve the South Otago Historical Society request for additional funding as per item 2.
Second, please. Councillor Catherwood, open for discussion. Councillor Herbert.
Can I just get some clarification here? So the recommendation prior to that, the one about the South Otago Historic Society, we actually moved 30 grand, didn't we? For the curator?
35.
35.
35 for the curator.
Yeah.
We've just gone for 19 for a manager. All right? And the one for the Lawrence one.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about whatever it is for an assistant.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to explain is, whilst we've got inconsistencies, we've got 3 different job titles and we're trying to fund. It just that illustrates to me that we've just well, we've got 3 different job titles and we're just grasping at straws for money and we're plucking figures out of the air to try and appease everybody. And I want to support it as well, but I'm thinking, God, I've supported a curator and I've supported a manager, but now I've got an assistant. So which one's?
No. Councillor Gray.
I think we're getting a bit
Not
confused.
approved.
All right, we increased the curator's salary, right? So imagine you're working with someone that, right, they get an increase and you're not. But just because the curator is going to share their increase with the assistant. If you think the curator deserves an increase, surely that it's probably relative that the assistant needs one too.
They haven't had it today. So
Have we got to move?
I'll have a discussion.
Why do you vote for that one? But voted against that one?
He's never been an assistant.
That will close it. So Kevin's got his hand up. If I go to him and close the discussion, we go to vote. Anyone else got anything before I do that? Kevin.
I agree, it's very complex and confusing, but that's why we need to have the meeting to get the model right. And rather than put in things that would have to change later, we do as little as we can now and get it sorted out as soon as we can. And that's what we tell all the museums when we give them the feedback from this discussion. So I'll just continue to not approve the funding for the museum assistant at this stage.
That brings the discussion to a close. We put it to a vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, your worship.
Those against, please raise your hands.
None, your worship.
Okay, what I'm going to do, Yeah, yeah, if they did. Yeah. So we're going to have a quick smoko stretch out, whatever. But can we please be back here at 22? We haven't even got past 20 to 12. Yeah. 13 minutes. Where I'm sure we'll just whiz through the rest. back to order. Waikiki, was it? Yeah. Waikiki Hall Board, questions for Love? No questions? Question, councillor.
No, I'll move. I'm happy to move. I think this is easy.
Yep, right, move councillor Payne, second, councillor McCrusty, discussion.
Oh,
Discussion.
Yeah, that's great, but this is a wee community that just looks after themselves and do their own thing. They're a tight wee community and they're not asking for a lot, and they do a lot with it. And it's a well-used, good little hall. So I really appreciate the support there.
Righto, so we're moving along. All those in favour, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, Wacker swimming bars, questions for Love? Councillor Cathaway.
Just to confirm the question, I think that current funding of 10,200 works out at $5.45 on the community, Owaka community facility rate, 46 cents on the UAGC, is that correct?
Can I just make an amendment to that recommendation that note that this should be funded by community support, so it's UAGC, fully UAGC.
100% UAGC.
Through you, Your Worship, that's just to make it consistent with our other small hall grants.
That's right, sorry, boss.
Oh, sorry.
Swimming pool.
Wrong one. Sorry, wrong one.
So,
So now we're on the next one.
so then the question would be,
No, so, sorry, we don't want to confuse everybody because we've just confused everyone.
yeah,
Lily's was writing to a different issue, wasn't it?
It's the same thing, though.
But the swimming bars, is the resolution changing or is it staying the same?
No, most of our swimming pool grants, unless they go through a Parks and Reserves budget, are 100% UAGC funded for the small grant. And I was just going to point out that most of our hall grants for little halls are exactly the same, which was your previous resolution. So sorry for confusion.
Okay.
You're saying this is consistent.
So, Dave.
Yeah, so then, what's the current, with the current fund, you're saying we're going to change the resolution from 50% to agency and 50% community facilities rate?
Yeah, it was just a typo, it's just going back.
Okay, so then, should I have the rates implication of how it's currently funded?
Yep. So it's currently funded as a UAGC funded grant. So we have just under 11,000 UAGCs, and it's $10,000. So it'll be just under $1 per UAGC.
So currently $1.
Just under. It will go to $1.10.
If that's okay.
Councillor Bowella, followed by Ludeman. You're sweet, Councillor Ludeman.
Are we questions? Sorry, I was in a big discussion.
All right, we're doing questions still, but I love the fact that you're pushing along, so I'm going straight to her for discussion.
Well, given what we've discussed previously, I would only support approving the funding of what they get already, so the 10,200. I don't support the increase because we've asked for a paper to be done this next coming year, and so quite happy to support what we've got funded, but not the increase until a review of funding for swimming pools has been done.
1 year?
For 1 year, because you're going to do the review, so we'll come back to the annual plan once the review's been done.
Councillor Cathaway.
So in discussion, I was actually, so it's $1. Just read it, just large group of volunteers, huge amount of work gone into it. It's another topic that has to come back, but they actually need an increase in funding this year now. So just so I know a little bit more about the pool's heated, heat pump, the power bill alone's in the $3,000 mark throughout the season. It's all cleaned by volunteers. It's chemical, always chemical. Huge running costs. This pool and massive effort from a whole bunch of people, and they're short. They're short of funding, so it's costing us $1. And I'm actually looking to increase above the recommendation because
they actually only asked for an increase in funding, they didn't actually put a price on it, of 12.5. So I'd like to actually increase the funding to 15,000, so that they have that this year, an extra 5,000, which will cost an extra 50 cents in the new AGC. It's a district.
So you would go.
That's where I'm at. I'm having a discussion. But I'm happy to make a recommendation.
I didn't quite hear the number. 12,530. Is that what you're saying?
No. Would you like a recommendation?
All right, then let's have it.
Okay, the council, I'd go for a council approves funding increase to Owaka swimming baths of $5,000 to 15,700 for the 24-25 year only, and there's a typo in this funding. So what would be the?
Just be 100% UAGC.
100% UAGC. That'd be my recommendation.
Need a seconder,
50
please.
cents.
Councillor Graham, matters open for discussion. I have to say I'm confused because did they ask for this money or did they ask for the two?
No.
So we're going to
They asked for an increase in funding.
And didn't specify what that was, or they asked for, I thought they asked for 2,003. So we will be giving them more than they asked for.
Oh, did I miss something? No, they asked for?
Can I,
2,300.
Yeah,
Okay.
you've increased it, Dane.
Yeah.
through you, your worship, just a comment, I also went back to them because I said they didn't specify an amount, and had.
They didn't specify.
No, but I got confirmation that that was the
Okay.
amount that they were after.
2,330 or whatever it is. Righto, so we're still at 5,000, that's the mover and the seconder, Councillor Levin.
Sorry, I can't support that recommendation at all. That it's even more than they're asked for. And here we are cutting other pools back in the district. I mean, where's the
I don't.
the Lawrence pool?
Hold on, guys, we're not a game of tennis.
I'm sorry, I don't support the recommendation. I would be supporting the current funding that they say, but why would we be giving more than they've actually asked for?
Councillor someone, anyone? Councillor Herbert.
Yeah, look, I would support, I'm going to go military, I would support the motion as it's written with the 2,330. We all know that every community group in every community we've got, their energy costs, their insurance costs are all bubbling away underneath them. I support an increase, but not to the level that the current motion's at.
And that's Councillor Boyle.
I am just in the same vein as Councillor Herbert there, and I will actually propose an amendment to the motion that will read exactly as the recommendation is written, apart from that we approve and that it's funded, approved at $2,330 extra, funded by the UAGC.
For 1 year was also the 1 year was the original. Are you 1 year or 3 years?
Councillor Cathwood, I think, had for the 3 years. I don't think
No,
it's 1 year.
1 year, we review our pools.
So where are you?
Well, I'll keep it in for the 3 years. That's where the motion is. And, I mean,
So we've got not a substantive, what do we call it? An amendment to the original. Well, to exactly the original. I need a seconder, please. Seconder, Councillor McAtamney. The amendments open for discussion. If there is no discussion, we will vote on the amendment. Can everyone that support it, please raise your hands and say aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9.
So now that becomes the substantive motion. Do we need any more discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
Unanimous again, Your Worship.
We got there in the end. Somehow we managed to take 3 times longer than we should have. Tuapeca.
There you go again.
Right, team, let's really focus because we should be able to chip away at them a whole lot quicker than that. Tuapeca, we see what's in front of us. Who's got questions for Lil? Questions? No questions, righto?
Yeah, I have a question.
Come on, guys, if I ask the question, so we'll go councillor Graham, Martin, Catherine.
Right, is it, this pool is owned by the community or two people? It's been divested from council. Right, so, yeah, no, that's good.
I had three. I think it was Herbert, was it? Or someone up there? It was, where did I go? Councillor Martin.
Sorry, I was going to make a recommendation, but then there's late questions. I'm with you.
Yeah, so, righto, questions and then
It was just a question, my question was the funding mechanism, is it correct, it's written in front of us, or it goes,
It'll be
is it
back
actually
to
100% UAGC?
And I say, everyone, please note that it's 100% UAGC. Councillor Kennedy.
This is a pool that, yeah, as councillor Graham alluded to, was a council pool and then got removed. I see obviously things have changed there. Heating system's going to change because it was built beside a school to use a boiler. My only concern is we are bringing a paper back for all pools. West Otago's pool also has chemical and a person that looks after it, so that we fund out of the funding grant. So I'm just saying, be mindful when you're voting, because these do need to be reviewed so that the communities can keep their pools running.
And the question?
No, I thought we were on this.
I hope we were, but we got dragged back to question. Councillor Ludeman, I tried my best. Michelle, I assure you, Councillor Ludeman.
Well, I probably have got a question, and that you're saying 100% UAGC, but what would be wrong with doing 50% UAGC and 50% to the, just for this one time, because this is outside what other communities are having, as Councillor Kennedy says, for one time and for a year. Just a question.
Councillor.
So how's the Milton and Belclutha pools funded? Are they 100% UAGC or are they 50-50?
Through you, your worship, they're 50-50. Because of the scale of the operation. So pool grants and hall grants, for example, are through a community grant scheme, which is 100% UAGC. Large operational things like community halls and swimming pools are spread over that community facilities arrangement.
Have we still got questions?
Got one that I've already asked. Got one that I've already asked.
Yeah, you have asked.
Does any of the other pools employ people as cleaner and caretakers? Pay them?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yeah.
Yes. From a very limited budget.
Right, there was someone down here, Councillor Wheel, a question?
No.
So we're moving to discussion?
In that case, if we do approve this, and I probably would be happy to support approving funding as amount here. But I would, given that this is sort of moving up the scale in terms of the employment of staff, I would actually support it being funded 50% UAGC and 50% through the Lawrence Tuapeka Community Fund rate. So Councillor Martin was to move in that direction, I would support them. I'd be happy to second it.
Why is that?
Irish. Hold on a minute, let's calm it down. How many years first? 1 or 3?
We only asked for 1.
I was happy.
No, they're not, they're going for 3.
I would be happy to support it as written. It gives them certainty, and we will review it and come back at annual plan time and we can make any adjustments then.
So what I'll do is I'll take you to move, but I can't take you to move.
Well, I'm just seeing what
Let's move it along.
Well, I will move then.
Well done.
Councillor
Well done. Move Councillor Wheeler, seconded Councillor Martin. Matters open for discussion.
Just for 1 year though.
No, it was for 3. He said he takes
For
it for 3.
the discussion, it says 1 year, and then the recommendation is 3 years.
Yeah, but Councillor Wheeler said he wants it, we clarified it was 3.
It's going to make it easier.
No, it's fine. That's fine at 3.
Come on, you two, work it out. What are we doing?
That's
What's 3? We're still going 3. Righto, we're discussing 3. We'll go around the table. McAtammany, Ludeman.
I'm concerned about where we're heading for precedence here. There's probably another half a dozen community pools who, if this goes through, could quite rightly come next year and go, hey, can we please have some money to pay for the volunteers that do the same job in their pools?
Councillor Luton, followed by the lineup.
Well, I'd actually like to make an amendment and that it be for just 1 year.
Do I have a seconder for that?
Because we're doing a pool, we're supposedly doing a review of that and our pools.
Hold on, you can come down, Mother, we've got a seconder. Councillor McCroskey. So we're now talking on the amendment and the extremely slow seconder to the amendment, not personally, just time frame. We're now still coming down the line of, I think it was Mackie, Martin, Catherine. To the amendment.
Was not the Awaka poll just done 100% UAG? See?
Yeah, but this is the differentiation because it moved up the cost scale.
No, Your Worship, it was suggested that because it was dealing with employee wages or something like that, that it would be different. Therefore, part of it should be funded by that community.
Look, we won a poll in Clinton, $4,137, and we have wages. A massive running cost. We run heat pumps, $1,000 a month. Yeah.
Councillor Martin, followed by Catherwood, followed by South.
So, Your Worship, the sequence, I know Councillor Ludeman has made an amendment after Councillor McAtamney had discussion. So do we have to talk to the amendment or can we?
Yes, it's to the amendment, but you look, we've got that much time it seems, we can talk about anything.
Irrelevant of all the other pools in the district, they too have the same opportunity to submit to the long-term plan. These pools that have submitted to the long-term plan have rightfully done so, just like all the other pools could have. You'll see the Lawrence Chirapeka Aquatic Centre already had 2 other submissions into that were declined for obvious reasons. This reinforces Councillor Ludeman's amendment that we do sit around the table and look at the swimming pools. And I vote against her amendment for 1 year because the way things are going, it won't be till 3 years that we sit around that table.
Councillor Catherwood.
Right. So
let's move along though, guys.
Yeah, so that's discussion. I'm actually also going to vote against the motion because had we had the opportunity to deal with community rate and UAGC funding, it could have been a different story for our way. But anyway, so I'm going to vote against it and just put a reminder out there that we spend $440,000 in wages on other pools in our district.
So for me, I am getting really confused trying to see a consistency. In fact, the only consistency I can see is the inconsistency.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, well, I've got to go with the 1 year because if I don't go with the 1 year, I'm going to be even more inconsistent first up with the 3 years. But I don't agree with the 1 year because it's going against where we are. This is turning into a pretty sloppy. But let's get through it. I now would think I've got 3 against have spoken, Councillor Wheeler. So you and then I'm heading to a vote.
Sorry, I'm against the amendment solely because if we put it in the budget, at least we get to see. Otherwise, our budgets go up and down. It will be in next year, but we won't be in the long-term plan for the next 2 years. We know we're going to be funding swimming pools probably at a higher level after we do a study, and we don't know when the study is actually going to be completed. I put pressure on staff to have it done at the end of by March next year or probably earlier. We're going to actually be getting good input into our long-term plan, our annual plan for this year after this coming year. So we can adjust the budgets, that figure in annual plan time next year if need be, but I think it helps get an understanding of what the budget's going to be in the next 3 years, over the 3-year period, rather than just sort of a one lump coming out this year and then nothing budgeted for the next 2 years. It just helps us understand what we are facing in those following 2 years as well.
Right, I'm going to push it to the vote. So we've got the vote for the amendment. We know what it does. We're chopping down to 1 year. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Your Worship.
All those against, please raise your hands and say no.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Your Worship. Abstentions. 0, 12. Somebody's abstained.
Someone's abstained and Kevin's abstained.
I'm a no.
So
You're a no.
No.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
5.
Yes, so it's lost anyway.
Yep.
So, hold on, it's 1. So now it becomes a substantive motion. Does anyone wish to continue the discussion? Can we put it to the vote? When I put it to the vote, all those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
Catherwood, Graham and McTimoney.
At the moment.
Barron.
All those against, please raise your hands and say no.
No.
Abstain. Right, that didn't take much time. Thank you for that. We're going to Sport New Zealand.
Your Worship, we're going to bring you back for the annual plan, and it'll be before December, a pool strategy, funding pool strategy, and it'll be part of your annual plan process. So you will have that, and it'll allow you to consult on it too through the annual plan process.
We've got 2 more. And lunch is an hour away, so I'm pretty sure we can do it, maybe. Sport Otago.
No, sport.
Question, Sport New Zealand.
Right page.
The Rural Travel Fund. Questions? Hello? No questions. Head to the discussion. Who's got... I love the travel fund. It gives all our district a chance for the kids from the far outreaching areas a chance to engage and compete and join in. Surely we're not down to that level that we can't support that. Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Worship. Look, I wholeheartedly agree. And this is a really important thing, and it's actually it really does make a difference to each and every person that participates in this, and it's right across the district. And arguably, this is more important than ever with the financial burden and stress on a lot of families. You can actually read, I didn't bring with me, but you can. A number of the accountability forms when they come in each year have extremely positive comments about how helpful this is to some families. And what you actually do with this is you create good habits with kids and get them out and about on the sports field instead of sitting behind a computer in a dark room. It creates really good lifetime habits for these people, and I will fully support it. We started off, at a not a paltry figure, but a fairly low figure of around the 18,000, and we've progressed it to a figure, but you will also see there how the requests have increased dramatically, and that's a response, the pressure that's out there in the community. So would really support the increase to keep up with that.
And I had, so there's me, you, there was one other somewhere. Councillor Payne.
No, just a technical question around the recommendation. It's just a little bit ambiguous to me the way it reads, that council approves or does not approve top-up funding of 15,000 in 2024, 25, 26, 27. Sort of alludes.
Topping up the funding, like half we get from the funding.
I agree with that, but it maybe we need to reword it a little bit so it's ambiguous.
So you're going to do that in the recommendation you're moving?
I'm happy to move that we approve 5,500.
No, we're going backwards.
Oh, where were we?
We're already getting 9.5.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's suggesting an
Am I on the
increase
right?
of funding of 5,500.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Total 15.
so that's annually though.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, for 3 years.
So
we're going up to 15.
That's the same thing, but it's
So councillors, we didn't word it well because in the past we've worded it a lot easier. What's being asked for is to increase the funding by a certain amount as normally resolved. We didn't say that, it just says top-up funding. We need to say the amount that it's going up by. That would be 5,500. Yeah. So the funding is being increased by 5,500 as the resolution.
215.
It's not going to be.
We'll be to 215.
Technical question then. So you're automatically saying that the 9.5 is carrying over from the last LTP then?
Sharon?
Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
So 9.5's going to 15?
Or we, as a council, decided it's in perpetuity, have we?
Well, it's in the budget.
If you approve the increase in funding, it means that there was an existing funding.
That's how.
The difference it'll do to the rates is 5,500 because we've.
I think the original motion is clear, because it says the top-up funding of 15. It doesn't say we're doing, it doesn't say in there there's an original 9.5, it just says we're going to increase it by 5.
It just
Well,
makes
that's
it-
what it does.
It just makes it clearer for us to be able to.
Councillor Ludeman.
I'm just clarification, probably for everybody, to understand that Sport New Zealand give 9.5
Yes.
currently. Council gives 9.5, and they're asking for another 5.5. So it's your fund will be 9,500 plus
You're at 34K.
plus
34.5K.
15,000. So kind of that's for a little bit of do you get what I'm saying? A bit of clarification. As to
9.5 existing.
9.5, which you get automatically from Sport New Zealand, and we've previously approved 9.5, and we're going to approve another 5.5. And I
It's pretty simple, it's small figures thing.
I'm just kind of.
Yep, and we've got it, we've gone from 9.5 to 15, it will impact on the rates an additional $5,500. I'm looking for a recommendation, please.
Oh, I'm happy to move that recommendation as written then.
Oh, yeah, you did, yeah, the seconded by?
Yeah.
Councillor Ludeman. Do we need any further discussion? Put it to the vote, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, thank you. Now we go to the Youth Development Fund, which unfortunately we won't be able to ask Lily because she's got a predetermined bias. Questions, please. I don't know, we can't quite go that fast. If there's no questions, then we'll go to general discussion.
So there's just a question again. Sorry, Worship, how we've written it. The current distribution is 2,000. Is that correct, Lily?
It's down to 4.
That's right, but it says an increase in funding of 4.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's an increase of funding of 2, isn't it?
Yes.
Just
2-4.
Sorry.
So it's another 2,000. It's a great thing to do. Is there any discussion or is someone going to hit me straight away? Councillor Ludeman.
I'll move it. It's a really good fund and always well utilised.
Seconded, Councillor Kennedy. Any discussion? All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against? Everyone. That brings us to the end. Can I just put a proviso in? It's been brought to my attention. You may remember Leanne Michelle came for the food bank and talked about 25,000, and she, in her mind, I know, because she was coming up to talk to the long-term plan, will have thought that that was her doing it. She hasn't done the written because she did the verbal. Steve's saying, can we confirm it? And we'll come back and we will make our decisions, whether we do it or whatever we do at a council meeting. But do know that it's I can see what Leanne's done.
Is it in the written submission?
She never did the written because she did the verbal and she did before the council public forum thing.
No, so all I said was that it's not an official submission. It went through public forum, and therefore there was miscommunication on parts of a number of people about whether that was a submission or not. It's not a submission, so you don't have an ability to debate that at this point. But what I did point out to his worship was, and why he wanted to raise it, was that he fully intends to bring that to a council decision because the suggestion, should you choose to say yes or no, wouldn't be a rates requirement, it would be another funding source for it. He's just letting you know that that miscommunication has occurred. We can't do it through this process, but he does want to obviously address it.
I'm just putting the proviso in so that we don't go, oh, she should come to the annual plan, we'll do it next year. But we're going to move to page 412 and try and keep things moving along because the clock is ticking like a time bomb. And we go to Mike. Welcome, Mike. How long have you been sitting there for?
About 2 minutes.
Well done. The floor's yours. No, it's not. We will go to item number 1, which is Belclutha Centennial Park Car Park. Questions for Mike.
Thank you, Your Worship. So yeah, that's already been approved. Item 3.1. And the carry forwards, I think that was yesterday or the day before.
Hurrah.
Just a general comment on this item. There is a mistake on page 423 in the table there. So that in the top right corner, where it talks about the rates impact of the Clutha Parks Trust request. So that should be the Lower Clutha Community Facilities Fund, not the Catlins Community Facilities Fund. And yeah, I'm happy. I've got just some additional information for some items, so I'd like to provide that as you move through them.
Yep, that you might. You'll be there for questions all the way through. So I don't have to do Clutha Centennial Park Car Park. So number 2 is Centennial Park Playground.
What about we received a report?
What about receiving the report?
Oh, let's do it. You've moved, who said that? The second bit, Councillor Martin seconded. All those in favour? Those against, thank you. Right, we're moving over to the Centennial Park Playground.
Isn't this the time we ask my questions about this report?
Each item.
Each item, so when we get to the Centennial
But we
Park.
don't, about the report at the very end here.
No.
I'm not talking about the item, I'm talking about Mike's report here on page 423. I'm just inquiring about the arithmetic here. You've got a figure under the living and working in Clutha community funding category, 360, but there was page 423.
Yeah.
Should be 375.
Thank you
Correct.
for confirming that.
Well spotted. Thank you.
Done. Now we're going back to the Clutha Centennial Park Playground, stage 2. Questions for Mike? No questions? Councillor Ludeman.
Just a question. Mike?
Sorry.
Just a question on the Clutha Parks Trust. I understand that this request is, am I right, so that they can go and apply for outside funding? They're kind of ready, are they ready to do that second stage?
Through you, Your Worship. Yes, I talked with Jared this morning just to confirm this, and yeah, he would. Their preference is that the funding is confirmed, even if it is in year 2, because yes, exactly, that allows them to use that as leverage, I guess, as they go out for additional funding. They are quite confident that they'll be able to do that, but it really helps. Otherwise, they would have to raise that sort of amount themselves before they can even start that process.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, okay.
Further questions, team, before we go to discussion? Discussion. Open. Righto. Someone have a recommendation?
No, I guess the question is if we approve it, where the funding should come from. We've got 2 options given in the report, and I guess what are the benefits and drawbacks of each of those funding options. And we'll, I guess for a start with, it's not wanted until next year, but we're possibly asking for the investment surplus, making a decision ahead of time for the investment surplus for the following year. So,
or will we take it out of this year and just hold it in the account? So it's sort of ring fence.
It would never be taken out until it was necessary, Your Worship. So, but you are talking committals. We have done that before. So you are still committing funds, and it's perfectly fine that you can commit funds from the investment surplus for 4 or 3 years out. You've just made a decision to commit it. We wouldn't be giving it.
So we had a real hesitation on the questions, and then we had no discussion, and I was going for recommendation, and I now see hands.
Yeah.
So I'm pointing to Bruce, because I did say recommendation, but we will go to, no, where are we, Dave?
Oh, no, the question was there, I just want to see where we were actually at. We finished stage 1, and what did we end up? What was that part? Cost of that part? Finished. Yeah.
Are you actually talking the total cost or council
No,
contribution?
yeah, so far, council contribution so far.
495.
And then we sourced external funding of?
Well, the trust did.
Yeah.
I haven't got that in front of me, sorry. Quite a lot.
They did more than that.
Oh, yeah, it was substantial.
I thought it was that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
1.500 external funding.
They've spent about
I think it's about
1.3.
1.3, and they're ready to do the pump track, which they made the comment of.
Yeah.
They aren't coming for any funding for that, they've got the funding to do that. So rather than, I guess, keep some of that pump track funding, they use, they'll pump track themselves.
Right, we're going to Councillor McAtamaney and then I'm pushing back for a recommendation.
Yeah, I've got concerns over the funding. You know, I struggle with investment surplus, but I'm starting to have some real issues with the amount of stuff going into this lower Clutha community facilities rate. Speaking from a resident in Clutha Valley, I mean, I showed an example this morning to some councillors where I've got one block on our farmers in the Lawrence Chirapika, 20 k's away. I pay $109 on that block. On the other blocks, we've got 4 other UAGCs, they're paying $299 to the lower community, Clutha. So the lower Clutha community facilities rates, and I live 40 k's away. And there's a lot of people up there that there's a new school just being built. They're putting in a big flash playground with the PDA and the ministry. I'm just wondering there's been an awful lot of stuff in the last few days getting pumped into this lower Clutha community facilities. And I'm struggling with the fairness of some of this, some of the outline people outline words.
Good call.
Councillor Volwiller, followed by South.
Well, I was going to move.
Yep, that's
motion,
right.
and that council does identify $300,000, 2025-26, as a 50% share towards the 2-stage destination playground at Centennial Park, funded from the investment account surplus.
Got a mover and need a seconder. Seconder, Councillor Ludeman. Matters open for discussion. Councillor Kennedy.
I think we just got to remember here that we went out to our communities and we asked what they'd like, you know, what things that. This is, I'm quite proud of our group, but this is the first time our group has come together as a group and actually really done some background work, got some money together outside of just asking from council. And I don't want to put a squash on any of our community groups that are, you know, bending over, doing hard labour, trying to raise that money outside. This little bit of money is always that lever to get that outside money coming in with their own work involved in it. It is a fantastic looking. I wish I could pick it up and take it to West Target. It would be lovely. But yeah, we're working on our own too. So well done. And these our place projects for all our communities, I think, are very important.
So if there's no further, I'll go to.
I'll be closing.
Yes, I'll go to Councillor Martin and I'll go to you. And please, guys, if you got something, whack your hand up.
Through you, Your Worship. And yes, Councillor Kennedy, but also if we go back quite numerous pages in this document here too, there's been lots of small communities, pet projects too, that have missed out. And it sort of reinforces what Councillor McAtamaney is saying. We've got to find that happy medium. So are we burdening the lower Clutha?
Investment surplus.
And then we take it from the investment surplus, who else misses out?
So it'll be flushed out in the vote. And as I say, that hand's come up late. I'm just going to go straight to Councillor Volwiller to close the discussion.
We have supported other groups, and you see further on in the agenda in the past was Points playgrounds coming up here as well. We're carrying forward funding from that. We've already committed funding to that. certainly done a lot of work and supported Lawrence with their playground there as well. Waihola got a substantial $200,000 funding and then raised another $200,000 plus for their playground, which they did 2 or 3 years ago. We were in a very fortunate position of having a very good surplus from the investment fund. So just, I think we've got a community group, as Councillor Kennedy has said, is working to raise funds from outside other sources, from outside the district as well. I think supporting this is a positive move to go, and we're growing further as well. So this is also helps make our towns a more place to live and work.
Thank you for that. So we're quite aware of where we are. We're doing it with the investment account as the option. All those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Your Worship.
All those against, please raise your hands and say no.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Your Worship.
Motion's carried. Thank you.
Abstained.
No, I think that's 7-6.
13.
Yeah, I didn't see an abstention. So, Cacken Point toilets. Questions to Lily, please. Or Mike. But if there are no questions, discussion.
Is this relevant now that we've already did Cacken Point toilets yesterday?
My understanding just gives us a funding source that can tap into 15,000 towards it, that's all.
Can you just roll that back, sorry, Bruce, before we go?
So through you, Your Worship. So this money was previously been allocated towards investigations, I guess, of options for those toilets. You'll know, you might remember that the community group, through their submission, when they came and spoke to you, asked for this, any remaining funds in this, out of that 20K, to also be carried forward and put towards the redevelopment of the toilets, whatever decision you made.
Can I just have a reminder, because I'm pretty sure yesterday, the one with the boats and the things, thanks John, that one, we fully, to the max, in fact,
The fully, the fancy one, they came in a quote of like 487 or something.
Yeah, that's what we did.
No, we choose the figure of 440, which was the portion inside the public toilet portion inside. Okay. Combined. So if we are having a discussion on this, I'd probably just leave that funding there as a contingency for the project, because it will just come back into council anyway. Just a carry forward, isn't it?
Okay, if there's no further questions, matters open for discussion. The only point I have on it is, if we gave.
No, we don't. You don't have to.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If we gave, then I'm hesitant to just give some more for the same. Councillor Ludeman.
Well, I'd like to move motion that we don't carry forward the existing funding, because I feel as though it's been down to in the motion yesterday.
Do I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Harris.
And I'll talk to that, because it says in there, on potential options, we've got the option.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to do too much more work on it, so.
Right, I'm getting general yeses, so I'll push it to a vote, will I? Right, all those in favour, please raise your hands and say aye. Those against? So then we go to Cacken Point Esplanade Playground, 2 parts. I might warm to the thought of, no, I will take them separately. Questions to the first piece of this?
Happy to move.
No, I'll go to you, Dane, but we can do the questions and then the discussion. If there are no questions, discussion. There is no discussion, now I'll go to you, Dane.
I'd just like to confirm the recommendation. We carry forward the existing funding.
Seconder, please.
1 and 2.
No, we're just doing one at the moment. I'm going to do one because there's a. So we're doing a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Was there anyone against? There was hands. I'll say that was unanimous, right? Thank you, team. And now the second bit, please. Any questions for Mike?
I'll move it.
Hold on, Ellie, any questions, discussion? Yeah, I'm doing it as quick as I can. Every time I do that, someone goes back for 10 questions. If there are no questions, discussion.
I've got to ask, it's almost like the next item should be in amongst us, because we're talking two different playgrounds in the same town, aren't we?
Correct. The street and this one,
So it's almost like we should be having a combined discussion, because we're just going to rush through and there needs to be a wider discussion here, input from our local council as to whether we actually need two playgrounds in that community.
They're existing.
Just, your worship, if I could
Doesn't
just
say we don't-
add to that. So both of those projects are included in the Our Place Catlins community.
Yeah, we signed off years ago. So the focus is on the Esplanade group that's fundraising. Their focus is on the Esplanade playground, but if they're trying to put together what they're going to put into that playground. So I actually wouldn't be surprised in the future they actually come back to ask for funding from Tarata Street. We pushed into the Esplanade because you know how far money goes on a playground these days. Not very. So I'm happy for these to be carried forward to let that group continue with their fundraising and planning. But the budgets are there.
Thank you.
And I haven't lived down there. I know that the Esplanade one's sort of for the visitors and the harbour, and then up the hill by the tennis courts and some of the locals, yes, and the bowling club and the centre there. So they are two different needs, but let's go back to, we'll do this one and you can take it, what your thoughts are for the second one to carry through for the first one vote. Have I got someone please to move a recommendation? Is she?
Yeah.
Did I get a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Councillor Catherwood seconded. Any further discussion? Put to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? No. Thank you. Right, now we're off. Oh, hold on. No, now, yeah, we are off to Tarata. Questions? Discussion? Recommendation?
I'll move we carry forward the existing funding.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Catherwood. Discussion on that? All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Aye.
Those against? Thank you. Carry forward for the Punaware playground. Hold on, I'll just go through the sequence, otherwise I'll get stuffed up with 10 questions. So questions, please. Discussion? Dane. Now we're going.
Recommendations.
Yep, seconded by Councillor Ludeman. Discussion on that? All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Aye.
Down. Thank you. That was unanimous. Now we're getting into the sequence. We're doing it. Capital Y carry forward. Same again. Questions to Mike? Discussion? Recommendation?
Happy to approve. Happy we do.
Move Councillor Herbert, seconded Councillor Ludeman. Any further discussion? All those in favour? Those against? Thank you. Capital, where did I get to? Yeah, it's unanimous. Where did I get to it? Capital Y picnic area, is that it?
3.8, your worship, Catlins.
3.8, sorry, as you were. Catlins, Awaka, cycle trail. Questions for Mike? Okay, so it is in two parts. No, it's not in two parts, it's in one part. So, questions for Mike? Discussion. Councillor Ludeman.
How progressed are they with feasibility of doing this project?
Through you, your worship, they've gone beyond that. They're actually building tracks now. You can see there's a photo there on page 416.
It's a way.
So they've also raised 20k. They've got a lotteries grant of 20k, which they've spent on trail development. They've got a community trust application for 26k, and they've probably volunteered time and materials and work of about 100k today. So they're going for it.
Okay then, so discussion. If there's no discussion, has someone got a recommendation, please? Councillor Martin was up first.
I'll move that recommendation that we do.
From,
from the investment surplus.
just, how do we?
I don't attack before we just do this, so we're going to move it. Can I have a second, please? Second, Councillor Bowen, now we're open. Councillor.
Well, you know, if we have a negative return next year, we've already committed $15,000.
Yeah, they'll come out of this one.
So we would commit
So would you
45.
carry the whole thing forward from now, and we'd be sitting on the 45.
You'd be committing 45 of your existing.
That's
surplus.
a better way of wording it. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. Councillor McIntyre.
Just a clarification, it's 30,000 that's already been funded from last year from a community support grant. So therefore, logically, the 15,000 should come from community support grants. Otherwise, it's going two ways.
Doesn't make money trying to come.
No, yes, it does.
Well, they doubled it.
Yeah, cool.
All I'm just asking is that, or maybe I'm making an amendment to that, recommend, it's already been moved, hasn't it?
Yeah, yes, so, but you can make an amendment.
Can I make an amendment that 15,000 comes from the community supports grants instead?
All 3 years or down to one?
3, yes.
3, righto. So I have an amendment. Can I have a second to that, please? Second, Councillor Ludeman. Amendment's open for discussion. So it's just a change on where we're doing it from. We're quite aware of it. Are we happy to go to a vote? Put to the vote. All those in favour of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Councillor Wheeler. Now the amendment becomes the substantive. So any discussion on that before we put to the vote? Put to the vote. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. Those against? Unanimous. Right.
So I think both items, Councillor Barron, you were abstaining.
No, yes. I was a year.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
3 on the phone.
3.9, Your Worship.
Sorry. Milton, Parks and Reserves. Carry forward. Questions to Mike? Just go.
I think it's straightforward. So that of the existing funding of 176,000, they will use 30,000 of that towards the dog park.
That's what's been requested.
That's really what's been requested, isn't
Yeah,
it? So,
of that, yeah, up to, I guess, would be fair.
up to. So, I mean, we've already, there's no financial impact there because we've already approved it.
So we're agreeing to the carry forward of 176, and then they'll take 30 out of that and put it to the dog park. So I will take both of them at once. I think it's sort of there's enough of that. So know that we're now talking about both recommendations.
Happy to move 1 yes and 2 does.
Seconder for that, please. Councillor Payne. When we're talking of the yes and does.
Yeah, well, that's the way
Who's, yep, that's it. So who's doing it? Any discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Dame, what were you?
Yeah.
Then sort of signalled by a hand.
Well, yeah.
Julie's going to come round there and plonk you.
I don't know what he's doing.
Well, yeah, but if he's doing it, then everyone does it. So we're going to. So Lawrence, entrance to Gabriel Gully, out of existing funding, the 50,000. Questions, Mike? Discussion.
So the money is, they're wanting to actually do something. 50 grand, they actually want to, as a group, they want to get together, the Lawrence. Community group, it's a Lawrence Community Board group, they're the ones that are wanting to spend 50,000. Find out around the government.
The question might be best to go to Councillor Martin, actually, but
Instead of
yeah,
design.
I can add to that possibly.
Through you, Your Worship, just to help clarify Councillor Kitwood's inquiry, as you can see in Mike's report here, it was through the 2021-31 long-term plan, which is a bit before my journey began here. But as far as I'm aware, the money has been carried forward. It was carried forward from last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, correct.
They're working on formulating an organisation to actually snowball this and get it going. Hence, I'm asking for it to be carried over until the next financial year.
If I could just add to that, yeah, just, so they're looking at a number of options, you know, toilets are being discussed, obviously, which probably 50K wouldn't go very far, but, it's really, it's a placeholder, but while they develop a plan for that area.
Right, $50,000 to get the Spirit team. We need discussions and then we'll go to a recommendation now.
I recommend it.
Right, seconded please, seconded by councillor Herbert. Further discussion? All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Unanimous.
No, Dane still, he is now, well done. Come on, Dane. And those again. No, but please move your hands. It's not fair on Julie trying to wait and see. So Lawrence Mountain Bike Trail Network, these were two young guys that came and saw us, wasn't it? So we will remember their presentation. Questions for Mike?
John. Mike, you're quite involved with this group. Have you been up there to see developments? Are they progressing quite well?
Yeah, I have, and yes, they are. They look great.
I think it was your son in the photo, wasn't it, Mike? Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Further questions, team?
Just before he wiped out.
Discussion. Councillor Lumen.
We're fully supporting this project. I think it's great. Young people in the community getting out and making it a place that they want to do their recreation, and it's absolutely great. And I would support it coming from investment surplus. So I don't know if you're ready.
Yep, I didn't get a swoosh of hands, so.
I'll approve it. Funding of 40,000, funded from investment surplus.
Second to councillor Herbert. Discussion. Councillor McTamaney.
I'll immediately try and move an amendment that comes from the community support.
Hold on. Was that even community support? Community support. Okay, you got an amendment seconded by? Councillor Payne. Amendments open for discussion.
Yeah. So the funding stream that goes into the community support fund, where does that come from?
UAGC.
Across the district.
So the way I see it is that the UAGC comes from across the district and the investment fund should be spread across the district. It's a 50-cent mixture. I'm keeping a track of it. We're doing all right, as long as we don't get too silly. So consequently, I'm still comfortable with it coming out the investment fund because the UAGC will have a rate impact. So it's basically saying, are we going to make it a rate impact or an investment fund? And I want it to be an investment fund. If we hold and hover, can I just, sorry, I will get there, Bruce. Can I ask Sharon, do you have, we haven't done it all day, do you have where we are with the investment fund drawdown so far? How much we got left?
Can you use the microphone, please, Sharon? Can you use the microphone, please?
We've used $813,200 so far.
No, we haven't. I got 900. That's why I want. Let's get it from Sharon and we'll get it right.
Okay, we're sitting at 1.1 million, just under 1.1 million remaining.
Still left. 1.1.
I've got 1174.
Yeah. So consequently, my point of discussion is that if we vote for the amendment, we're putting it onto the rates. If we vote for it to be investment fund, it's coming out of what is still going to be a surplus going over to next year and a good amount and support it and bring the rates down. I know where the submissions were pushing me. Councillor Boyle.
I was opposed to the amendment just simply because we have an investment fund to support projects like this rather than impacting the ratepayer every time. And similarly, I'm disappointed that we didn't do the same with the Waka Punawea cycle trail before, because it's a similar sort of project. I mean, for some reason, we're happy to support the playgrounds out of this, but this is something that is a recreation facility in this district as well, as was the cycle trail previously discussed. So I'm comfortable that it stays in the original motion, it's supported from the investment surplus.
So I'm going to go to the vote of the amendment. If there's no other discussion, Councillor, yeah, well, you'll close it, so that's fine.
I'm probably not going to close it today, but I'm going to prepare something else. I've got quite a big argument over use of this investment surplus, and I will probably share with the councillors my thoughts on it another time, but yeah, it's against using the UAGC. It's for another day.
Okay, so put the amendment to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Oh, hold on. All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against.
Amendment.
Hold on, let's do it again. All those for the amendment, please raise your hands. I did that wrong, my apologies. Yeah.
And Councillor Cathwood.
Yeah, and those against, please raise your hands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, Julie? Yep.
Righto, so that the amendment is lost. We go back to the original motion. Further discussion on it's just the only difference is investment. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, just around the difference between investment and the UAGC. This trail here network, along with the Poonaware trail and that, it's for the wider community as well. So, like, rather than just penalise our investment fund, this is, the UAGC, we're penalising directly the ratepayer out of the fund. Well, it's money that's come out of investment, which we're sharing with the whole communities throughout Otago and South.
Right, yes. I'm putting it to the vote. We've had enough of a discussion for what? We're not going to discuss investment accounts at the moment. So we put back in, voting for the original motion that it comes out the investment fund. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Sorry.
So,
Everyone other than that. All those against? Yeah, all the doctors in support of it. All those against? Dane is abstaining. Righto, moving over to the West Otago Community Plan projects. So this is carry forward for a starter. We do the first of the recommendations that we're carrying forward existing funding of 189,000. Pretty straightforward, guys, but this is the questions for Mike. So if there's no questions, it's the discussion.
I'm happy to move both recommendations as they're written.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that actually. So we've moved both, seconded Councillor Payne. We're now discussing on both of them. Any discussion before I put to the vote? All those in favour, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Those against?
I'm an aye.
What were you, Bruce, and against?
No, I'm an aye.
Yeah, so all those against? It was unanimous, yeah. Clinton, residential development. Another carry forward. Any questions for Mike? Discussion?
Happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Ludeman. There's no discussion. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you. Clinton Community Facilities and Reserves Improvements. I'm going to take both of these again because they're only small amounts and we should be able to handle it. It's a carry forward and a wee bit. Any questions for Mike?
It might be easier to do separately because there's a decision that has to be made where they come from.
No, yeah, right. Teach me for right. We'll do the first one. 9,329. Carry forward. Ready?
Move it.
Thank you, Councillor Volwellers. Moved. Councillor Martin seconded. All those in favour, say aye, please. Those against, thank you. Now we'll go to the second one. 20K. Bit different. Fair call. Questions for Mike? Discussion?
Have been moved.
Thank you. Moved. Councillor.
Does.
Oh, where are we funding from? Investment, UAGC.
50-50.
Councillor, are
you going to do it from the investment or from the UAGC?
Well, it's written there that it comes from the UAGC. So
No, it doesn't. It also says from the investment, and you did vote for the investment one beforehand.
Right. This is the funding that we got for a better off community, wasn't it?
Yeah, so what we're asking is, do you want to take it from the investment account or the UAGC?
or rates.
Rightio, the investment account there.
Right, we're going for the investment. I need a seconder, please. Councillor Herbert, seconder. Matters open for discussion. 20K out the investment. There's no discussion. Put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Or was there an abstaining there?
Too slow. Too slow.
Too slow. That's an abstain. Walking and cycling trail down in Clinton. It's a carry forward for 10,000, pretty straightforward. Questions first. Councillor Herbert.
So how far does this advance at all, Mike? I know there's a lot of walking and cycling going on around the district, and I've asked this before whether, I think Linda's sort of had a bit to do with some of these groups. I suppose what I'm asking is, you know, we've got some going on in West Targa and some in Poonaway or wherever. Are they linked up? Are they talking?
Through your worship, they are building on each other's work, I guess.
Yes.
So yes, you know, where somebody's doing something that's useful information that can be used elsewhere, not directly sort of working cooperatively, I suppose. But yeah, in this one in particular, there is obviously has been some discussion and some ideas, and they are, you know, it's nothing's concrete yet. It's coming.
Thank you.
Righto, so it's a carry forward. 10K's pretty straightforward. Moved, seconded please. Seconded by Councillor Mackie. Any discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? So we're moving down through the carry forwards. 1 minute after lunch, but I'm just going to keep on pushing because we're so close to the finish line. And Julie said the soup won't burn, mainly because it's not soup. That's another matter. Clutha Valley Community Facilities, another carry forward for 50,000. Questions? Discussion? Recommendation?
Happy to move.
Move, Councillor Herbert, seconded Councillor Mackie. Further discussion? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Thank you. Valleys Tuapeka Mouth Pump. 10,000, same as before. Any questions? All right, move Councillor Herbert, seconded Councillor Mackie.
Smell the super.
All those in favour, say aye, please.
Aye.
Those against? Thank you. Clutha Valley Promote Heritage. Another 10K carry forward. Questions? Discussion?
Happy to move.
Move Councillor Bolwheeler, seconded Councillor Mackie. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Thank you. Walking and cycling up the valley, 10K, carry forward. Questions? Discussion? Councillor Kennedy's moved, someone seconded, by the name of Councillor Mackie. All those in favour? Those against? We're going to do it, team. Changes to the waste. Did we do waste management last night? We did something last night.
You adopted the fees and charges.
Fees and charges, that's what it was. So can we go over please to page 424 and firstly receive the report? I'll move. Can someone second? Second, Councillor Payne. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against. So we're going to go through step by step. Number 2. Questions for number 2. If there are no questions, are we heading into discussions? Councillor Bolwell.
My question, Jason, is regarding the our ETS costs at the moment. We've got figures in there of about 60 to $70 a tonne. At the moment, that carbon price has been priced, well, the last I've seen is about 55. So how much impact is that? We've bought carbon credits in the past for waste disposal. Have we used those up? We have to buy more at the moment? Or?
Through the Channel Green for Sharon, you do deal with the environmental trade, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Have you got information on the environmental trading scheme, whether we purchased some emissions trading scheme and what the current value is?
47.50.
Yeah, we did just buy some this year for our landfill emissions, but we're actually undertaking a bit of a project to look forward and see what's the best way to go about meeting our obligations in that way.
So the current total tonnage with Fremantle projected for this year, only a few weeks left, is 11,000 tonnes. 11,000 times. Yeah.
Further questions, Tim? Discussion? Recommendation, someone prepared to move? Deep thought. I'll move it. I'll second the place, councillor Herbert, with discussion. So I've got a move and a second, and we've got no discussion, so I'll put to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Those, that was unanimous, I think. Me and John. No, it was me.
It's very bad grammar.
No, but it was me, and then you. John and I, but you moved it. So we'll go to number 2 for the levy. Any questions, please? It's a bit of a chonk, but it's reality. Number 2, well, number 3, the second of the 3 decisions we're going to make. Councillor Ludeman, please. You're going straight to moving.
No, I suppose.
See what happens?
Yeah, no, I just suppose just the question, it's a massive increase we're dealing with in front of us. You know, the rates impact's large. So we've got a new contract extension for the 3 years. Is that locked in, that contract price, or are we revising that? Is it year in, year out?
It's locked in.
Locked in for 3 years?
Yeah, there is inflation on top of that, depending on the index.
339 a wee bit.
If there are no more questions, councillor Ludeman had pushed the finish line. So what are you doing?
Well, I did move, reason that 3, that we increase the gate fees at approximately 27%. So don't say I like it, but I don't see we've got any choice in the
Where we are. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kennedy. Motions open for discussion. Councillor Herbert.
I think the whole sort of oxygen's gone out of the room and this discussion's come up, and we saw the discussion and we saw comments through the LTP that a lot of people want this, but they don't want rates to go up. And this is where we're stuck on this tightrope now, where we're delivering something that's going to cost, an increasing amount as we go along. That's why we're sort of sitting here going, we know we need it, we want it, but we don't want to charge more for it. It's a real conundrum,
And yet it is the reality we face, and we're stuck with it. We've got Hobson's.
People want to recycle glass, but they find out the cost of it.
I think the whole theme of this annual long-term plan has been Hobson's choice. But that's another matter.
The unfortunate thing, Your Worship and councillors, is that you would think it's you're paying for a service and it's user pays, and that wheelie bins and such like going through the gate and such like. But the wheelie bins is a rate, isn't it? So the increase in rate for the wheelie bins, which is necessary for user pays, is a rate increase, and that's how it gets reflected. So it's that case as an example where if you had another option, it would be so much easier by invoicing separately as opposed to a rate. But at the moment, this is what we've got, and there's a consequence to that, even though you're doing the right thing by charging and not doing anything else, but it's an increase in rate.
Sharon, can I ask what it actually pans out for an urban ratepayer or a wheelie bin ratepayer? What percentage of rate increases? 27% of that part of it. But what does that mean for the whole rate? Is it much? Do I have to put a big asterisk here because I thought I was following everything and we're right?
1.3.
1.3. Right, okay, that's what it does.
Just
love to not have it.
Steve's just got me thinking. So you could actually, I think Central Target, I think in Queenstown, you actually get charged from always, not actually the council, for your wheelie bin. So you can actually remove it from being a rate to being a private contractor might charge them and then pay us. I don't know.
I've got the Queenstown bin rate if you'd like it.
But is it charged as a rate or actually charged from a contractor?
I couldn't tell you, but it's $373 as
Ali,
advertised
I
on their
I think
website.
it's charged in contract.
No, it's actually now charged on our rates. It didn't used to be
Used to be
way back.
always.
It used to be separate, but I can tell you now that it's charged on your rates.
Right. If we whip back, we know what we're doing with Hobson's choice. I'm really pushing for the vote. Councillor Boyle.
Yeah, just, Torrey Mouth is a community that doesn't get serviced by our wheelie bin service, and some of them opt into a private, forgotten the contractor, but it's it's equivalent to a wheelie bin service actually, but without the recycling side of it. And I think that, I'm just trying to recall, but this is something like $500 or $600.
It's $15.80 per collection. So if you base that on a 26-week collection like we do for general waste, that would cost you $430.40.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, team, we see that recommendation there. And I got a moving second there, somewhere there. Yep, it was. So put to the vote, please. All those in favour, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? No? Those against?
No, you're going a bit fast. Sometimes I'd take a bit of time catching up with this. You know, if you just slow down.
If you just move it up to everyone else's pace, that'll be good. We'll move on to the last one of them. Questions for number 4. Discussion. There's no discussion. Do I have a recommendation? Move the recommendation. Are you, Ali? Councillor Ludeman's moved the recommendation. Seconded by Councillor Payne. Further discussion on that? All those in favour? Those against? Thank you. That was unanimous. Oh, hold on. Don't do the against. Bloody hell, team. It's pretty simple. It's like a very slow dance. I think we've got one more before we do it.
You don't actually have a choice. You don't actually have a choice.
Am I going back to the level?
Well, you sign off. You have to do it. Do it. Can't not do it.
Do I do that? You said we go back.
But we'll go back to
This will be on that 59.
we're going to be going
Yeah, but right now, what am I doing? Okay, team, we're going to shut down for lunch for 20 minutes. We are so